Tiffany Wong with news from here in Taiwan and around the world. A run-in between Japan and China's militaries has become the latest incident in the two countries' soaring tensions. The growing spat has put Tokyo on edge as it seeks to deepen defense ties with other regional partners. Cadence Caranzo reports.
China and Japan are at odds once again. Tokyo says that Chinese fighter jets that were flying near Okinawa on Saturday aimed their radar beams at Japanese warplanes. It slammed China and called these actions dangerous. Using radar in this way is seen as a threatening gesture, as it could signal a potential attack. But China has denied Japan's account, saying its military had been holding routine training exercises in the area. It blames Japan's forces, saying they kept dangerously approaching China's exercises. This comes amid worsening relations between the two countries, after Japan's prime minister last month warned Tokyo could respond militarily to a Chinese attack on Taiwan. Since then, China has lashed out, telling its tourists not to travel to Japan and restricting Japanese seafood imports. But as its relations with China sour, Japan appears to be deepening its ties with other countries, who are also alarmed by the rising tensions and China's growing military activities. Japanese and Australian defense ministers met on Sunday to talk about Indo-Pacific security and Taiwan.
In the discussions of regional affairs during our meeting, the situation regarding China and Taiwan was also addressed. In that context, we once again expressed our grave concern over the situation in the East China Sea and the South China Sea, and reaffirmed our strong opposition to any unilateral attempts to alter the status quo by force or coercion.
We do not want to see any change to the status quo across the Taiwan Straits. In general terms, Minister Koizumi and I spoke about the way in which Australia and Japan can work together to assert the rules-based order and provide for the peace and stability of the Indo-Pacific.
They also announced plans to deepen defense collaboration, including having their defense and intelligence communities meet every year. Australia's defense minister said that the two sides are now more strategically aligned than they've ever been, and made clear that their goals include maintaining peace in the Indo-Pacific. John Su and Cadence Caranzo for TaiwanPlus.
The U.S. Congress has released its latest version of the 2026 National Defense Authorization Act, which includes several measures on Taiwan. The bill puts $1 billion towards helping Taiwan build up its self-defense. It also requires the U.S. Defense Department to start a joint drone development program with Taiwan by March 1st. A proposal to invite Taiwan to the upcoming U.S.-led RIMPAC military exercises was left out of the final draft, but it does call for joint training between the country's coast guards and broader regional integration with allies. Congress is set to vote on the bill this week. If passed, it will head to the president for his signature. French President Emmanuel Macron says the EU could slap tariffs on Chinese goods if Beijing doesn't fix its trade imbalance with the region. Macron made the remark after visiting China last week. He says he warned President Xi Jinping that Europe might follow the U.S. lead on tariffs if China refuses to buy more European goods. Macron says the bloc is currently squeezed between American protectionism and Chinese trade surpluses, which he says threaten Europe's industrial model. The EU's trade deficit with China has jumped 60% since 2019. Hong Kong's local elections this weekend saw a near record low voter turnout of less than 32%. It comes amid widespread public anger over a building fire that killed at least 159 people. The blaze was the city's worst in nearly 80 years. Authorities blame substandard materials, leading to calls for greater government accountability. Sunday's election was the second held under Beijing's Patriots-only rules, which have effectively barred pro-democracy candidates from running. It's part of a wider crackdown on political freedoms since the passage of a strict national security law in 2020. That's included arrests in recent days over public criticism of the government's handling of the fire. Thailand has launched airstrikes against Cambodian troops as border tensions between the two countries flare up again. The strikes follow accusations from both sides that the other breached a ceasefire brokered by U.S. President Donald Trump. Thailand says Cambodian troops fired on its soldiers, killing one and injuring others, and that it's evacuating citizens from nearby towns. Cambodia says no shots were ever fired from its side. Intense fighting along the two countries' disputed border killed 48 people and displaced 300,000 in July. Over the weekend, migrant workers and labor organizations held their annual march in Taipei, calling for fair work visa treatment and chances to stay in Taiwan longer. Releasing their pent-up frustrations, these migrant workers throw bomb-shaped paper lanterns at Taiwan's legislative yuan. They say these fake bombs represent the constant pressure that's been building up on their backs as their time in Taiwan slowly ticks down due to the work year limit, a rule that only allows blue-collar workers to stay in the country for up to 12 years, or 14 for those working as caregivers. They're also only allowed to work on contracts of up to 3 years, meaning they often face uncertainty about continuing employment. And they want to get rid of this work year limit.
Abolish work year limit! Abolish work year limit! Abolish work year!
At a rally in Taipei on Sunday, hundreds of migrant workers and labor rights activists have come out to demand fair treatment for these essential workers.
We are not temporary. We are not invisible. We are workers and we deserve the same dignity in everyone.
There are over 800,000 migrant workers in Taiwan, mostly from Southeast Asia, working in jobs like caregiving, manufacturing, and agriculture that support Taiwan's rapidly aging population and major industries.
While these migrants came to Taiwan looking for temporary work, many say they've come to call the place home, and they're hoping that the government can make friendlier policies that allow them to settle here long term. Christy, a caregiver from Indonesia who's worked in Taiwan for 2 years, says she hopes to bring her family over if immigration policies change.
Yeah, because I have the family in Indonesia and my kids have the study for a long time now at the elementary school and junior high school. But one day we wanna come to Taiwan for study to the campus and can together with me in Taiwan, living in Taiwan for working and study.
Ignas, also from Indonesia, has worked in Taiwan for 11 years and is set to leave next year under current rules.
Yang kedua, alas besarnya faktor sosial yang sudah saya bangun di sini bersama kawan-kawan baik dari sesama pekerja migran maupun dengan komunitas-komunitas lokal yang ada di sini, dan kami sudah punya ikatan yang kuat. Ya, itu bukan suatu hal yang mudah untuk ditinggalkan apalagi dilupakan seperti itu.
Some attendees also put themselves on display a bit more directly at the rally by dressing up as meat at a supermarket, labeled fresh until an expiration date was slapped on them. The rally spokesperson says that the work year limit prevents Taiwan from keeping the foreign workers they desperately need.
我们知道台湾的这个缺工的状态需要人，那为什么不让已经有经验的人继续留下来，而是继续去让中介从国外做聘雇？这个不但对于台湾留下熟练工的方式都不是好的一个规划。
White-collar workers can achieve permanent residency in Taiwan only after 5 years of work. In response to the rally, the Ministry of Labor said that blue-collar migrant workers can apply for intermediate skilled status, which does not have restrictions on how long they can work in Taiwan. But for many, they feel their years-long dedication and contributions to Taiwan's society should already be enough to let them stay in the place they now call home. Wong and Tiffany Wong in Taipei for TaiwanPlus. Dolphin performances in Taiwan will stop next year, but releasing captive dolphins into the wild is nearly impossible. So what becomes of them and their trainers? TaiwanPlus is back for part 2 of this special report.
In 2026, Taiwan will join a growing list of countries, including Mexico, Costa Rica, and Chile, to ban dolphin shows. But while the performances may end, the dolphins at the Far Glory Ocean Park will remain in captivity.
第一个就是它的生命年龄，被圈养的这个鲸豚，它个体它的生命年龄已经是比较大的了，那它很可能在这部分的野放的可能性就会比较低。那再来另外一个条件就是说，它被圈养的时间长跟短。 对，如果它圈养的时间已经很长，可能10年、20年，那这个相较起来的话，它可能已经形成了一种惯性。那这种惯性就是它可能失去了一些能力包括像是去捕捉鱼的能力。
In most cases, reintegrating captive animals into the wild is very costly and very difficult. While some countries like Iceland have had success using large pens set up at sea, Taiwan's geography and climate make this hard.
它最主要就是台风的风险，因为台湾就在一个就是多台风的地方。那这些动物它如果被固定在一个范围内，但是这个范围内可以做的保护的措施又不够多，但台风来的时候，那个浪的影响很可能反而会让这些动物变得是很动荡、很受伤。那很有可能它就会在里面不小心的因为浪来了，然后撞击到礁岩还是怎么样的状态下受伤。
However, there could still be other options for the future of these dolphins.
That doesn't mean they can't be sent to a sanctuary somewhere else. Okay, they came from somewhere. Most of the animals in Taiwan aren't necessarily from Taiwanese waters, right? Somebody sent them there. It can be done in reverse, if you will. You can send them to a sanctuary that's been established somewhere else that is safe and protected. I'm not saying that's been done yet. We are still working on the concept for whales and dolphins. It's complex.
With no real possibility of release and the show's ending, Tien and his team will see their official titles changed from trainers to caregivers in 2026. The training they used to use to amuse audiences will be turned to day-to-day care for the animals.
For decades, signals like these have been used to ask dolphins to perform tricks, and sometimes they can also be used during health checks. For example, by doing this, I can ask a dolphin to open its mouth.
Tricks like that help caretakers check the dolphin's health. And for Tien, caring for the animals is more than a job.
因为它的一整天就是必须要靠我去帮它维持它的一些健康状态。对，所以有像我自己照顾的海豚，它其实是一开始非常害羞的动物。那跟它照顾了这么久之后，它慢慢的愿意接近我。我觉得这是一种互相信任的一个过程啊。我觉得我们跟之间更像是一个合作很久的伙伴的感觉。
With the special bond with the dolphins, Tien says his responsibilities won't change, even after the performances end. He will continue to work with and care for the animals, and welcome not only the final curtain fall on dolphin shows, but also Taiwan's evolving approach to animal welfare. For Hong, Howard Zhang, Bryn Thomas, and Sandy Chi for TaiwanPlus.
You can watch the full version of that report on the TaiwanPlus website and YouTube. Taiwanese film director Ang Lee says Netflix's takeover of Hollywood studio Warner Brothers is not a good sign for creative workers.
我希望还是有些特殊性，有一些特殊的状况、特殊性，不是都大公司统筹，因为他们的生意跟我们的需要看的心理的诉求很多人不一定一样，对不对？那就大家都统合，要用 AI 弄就好了。
The Oscar-winning director made the comment during his biography release event in Taipei on Sunday. Lee said he would not make direct-to-streaming films. He also said traditional filmmaking includes a sense of innocence and desire for innovation lacking from films produced with AI. At the event, he said shooting for the novel-adapted film Old Gold Mountain is delayed until next year. Another project, a Bruce Lee biopic, is on hold until copyright and funding issues are sorted. Thank you for watching What's Up Taiwan. Finally, we leave you with images of superheroes bringing Christmas cheer to a children's hospital in Kosovo. I'm Tiffany Wong. Take care and see you next time.
Thank you for sharing our passion for food and Taiwan. Veggie Island explores the vibrant world of plant-based cuisine.
Wow, this is amazing.
While Taiwan on the Rocks uncovers the stories and craftsmanship behind every sip.
Have you ever tried Taiwanese beer?
Are you ready to taste even more of Taiwan?